I guess we can get started. My name is Molly, and I am the Startup Services Coordinator and Interim Marketing Coordinator at Startup Zone. And today, Sean Williams is going to be presenting his workshop, Customer Retention, for us. So, we really appreciate having you here, Sean, and we're really looking forward to your presentation. So, if you want to get started, I will go ahead and turn myself on mute and stop my video. And if you need anything, feel free to just shout and I will be right here. So
Okay, right.
um, and like I said, if people want to send in questions, please feel free to do so.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully I won't suck as the title slide kind of kicks off. Hopefully today we'll get a good conversation at the end of it around customer retention, because as somebody that's been in marketing for a while, it's definitely an area I still see companies not spending enough time on or not having that conversation, and we definitely look at it, my company, from a marketing and branding standpoint, but it goes so far beyond that. And so, as I mentioned to somebody earlier, I took a little bit of a cheeky approach to this, but it really is about happy customers and not sucking. So we'll kind of get into it. But just to give you some context, I know I've met some of you and talked to a couple of you as well. I'm one of the in-house specialists at Startup Zone PEI. So I'm I used to go there physically, but because I'm based in Halifax, that hasn't happened too much. But I love getting involved in these kind of efforts and these types of organizations. So who am I? I'm a co-owner of a kind of I guess I call it a boutique marketing shop, Dashboard Marketing. We've got a variety of clients all across the country, and we've done some work in the US as well. It's a family business because my partner in the business is my wife, who's also, of course, marketing. And as you see on the right side of the screen, we've got some connections to the island. Holland College has been a long-standing client of ours. I think we're about 8 years now with them. So hopefully they're a happy customer. They've been working with us for so long. Golf PI, we did a few projects over a few years and helped Mark and the team there. And we actually just did a rebrand recently with a local design shop for the Charlottetown Airport. So I can now put on my bucket list of things to do of launching a rebrand for an airport in the middle of a pandemic. So it's definitely, I didn't have that on my bucket list, but that's definitely now on my bucket list of things to do, or now I can check off something I've done. I've got about 20 odd years of experience. You can see the gray hair to kind of prove that. I've worked both in the Halifax space or area, Atlantic Canada, but also Toronto. I am originally from Toronto, but I married Newfoundlander, so I've been told I'm okay. And I've also worked in marketing and sales roles with companies. You see a couple of brands on the right. Nikon, I was their national marketing person, and Molson, I sold beer, which was a lot of fun. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm very invested personally and professionally into the whole startup space. I love being a mentor advisor, and in this instance with Startup Zone, kind of an in-house specialist to offer help to folks like yourselves. So it feels good, and it's fun to be connected. So today's topic, I had to start off with an awesome quote from one of the best brands and characters out there. Good old Walt Disney. I know they're a certain part of their brand and their business is suffering right now, but other parts, such as Disney Plus, is doing quite well. But Walt definitely came and put a real mindset around customer experience and customer appreciation. And the quote, do what you do so well that they will want to see it again and bring back their friends, really does emphasize that idea of good quality customer service and customer repeat business. So I thought I'd start off with that. The thing to note here, and a lot of you have probably seen this, a marketing funnel. There's so much emphasis put on this top of funnel. We do a lot of work with our clients in the space of generating awareness and consideration conversion. The big part of today's talk and a big part of going forward, anything you're doing should also include the bottom part of that funnel. Because yes, you need to acquire new customers, you need to bring them into your business and have that connection. But then once they're in the business, what do you do? What do you do to keep them customers? How do you renew their business? How do they buy more product? How do they become loyal, become advocates? There's a lot of focus that needs to be put on that based on the certain time of their lifespan with you as a brand. And another quote here, I love this one around kind of that loyalty piece, is loyalty is a virtue, but it has to be earned to truly mean something. So that element of earning, it just doesn't happen. That's true in life in general. We all have that loyal connection to certain people, and it definitely has been earned over time. So this comes definitely into play in marketing. And this last bit, customers won't just stay loyal to a brand because they're there. You have to earn the loyalty of the people you sell to. And this is even more important now in this type of dynamic during a pandemic where people have lots of choices and are not, they're not being forced to deal with you because of the personal relationship anymore. It's a digital relationship for many people. So, why is customer retention important? One of this is a great stat here of 90% of customers begin doing business with a company based on a competitor's poor customer service. So think about that if you've received customers, customers have contacted you, you've signed them up, whatever it might be, 90% of those people that are now doing business with you have come to you because the other company fucked up. They messed up in some way, they pissed them off. So you think of the power that has and the impact that has on their business now coming into your business. The other component of customer retention is it's not as expensive as acquiring new customers. So this, the Neil Patel is a great resource, and there's data to support this, that it's 7 times more expensive to get new customers than retain existing ones. Just again, think of the cost impact that has. So if you now have customers at whatever stage of business you're in, it's so much easier in a certain way to keep them and keep them coming back. And the efforts, we'll talk about a lot of the efforts to go through, but the cost impact for your business, just think about that component of it, is so much lower. So when you have them, you've got to treat them so well because they are the future of your business. This is an interesting reference around kind of the classic journey of a customer, and then that new journey that we're really kind of going granular on here is, the classic one is, okay, you consider a brand or a product, you evaluate it, compare, you consider it, okay, is this the right fit? And then you buy it. Okay, that's the kind of the acquisition piece. Then this loyalty loop comes in. And it's as we've already talked about, it's so important to then say, okay, now they bought it, are they enjoying it? How can we move them from a loyal customer to an advocate that's talking, that's talking your praises in social media? And the bond, what is that emotional, almost, I can't explain connection I have with this company. So that loyalty loop it is so much tighter, and back to the earlier stat of so much more cost effective in focusing on, because I'm going to get the return on the investment, and the investment's a lot less than if I'm trying to acquire new customers. So it's really interesting now to see, okay, how much deeper can I go in that? And here's a stat that just supports that last point of around, it's going to drive business. So this reference was 85%, almost 85% organizations are working on improving customer service, report an increase in revenue. 85%. Okay, so they're not just doing it to feel fun and light and squishy and soft and gooey. It's like no. When I put that effort to servicing my customers and making the experience positive, I'm going to see direct business results from that. And this is an interesting one to look at in the sense of, airlines are definitely somebody I love picking on in the sense of bad customer service and customer retention. But when this was a survey done around tweets to airlines and the response time from the airlines to those customers that tweeted them. And it was around the idea of, okay, would you pay more, depending on the amount of time it took for us to respond to you, would you pay more for the next ticket that you're going to buy with us? And so it's about that customer service piece and customer experience and retention piece, but making sure it happens fast. So if there's an issue, and this is, the data that supports it, to say if there's an issue and they responded within 5 minutes or less, the customer's willing to spend that extra 20 bucks. As you progress down, you lose that revenue opportunity and that business opportunity. I saw that. I worked with a national network of automotive dealer, retail shops that did tires and oil changes and things like that. We built a new e-commerce platform for them. We set up and set up kind of warm leads, so a customer would go on there and map out what winter tires they want. They would then fill this form out and then send it to their local dealer. And it was shocking to see how many of them didn't respond within a 6-hour period, let alone a 24-hour period. This was a warm lead. They've gone through the process. They've done the research. We're sending them business. They didn't have to do a thing for it. And they just sat back going, oh, I'll get to that when I get to that. I got to deal with a customer that may walk in through my door. It's shocking. So it's thinking about that. Okay, how quickly can I act on that to make sure that I'm getting the revenue impact on the business? And good old Warren Buffett, who's still going to McDonald's for his Egg McMuffin every morning. Great quote here is, it takes 20 years to build a reputation. So we all know how tough that is, and 5 minutes to ruin it. So if you think about that little, I'm not going to pay attention to that customer issue until tomorrow, think of the impact that might have on you, and think about, okay, where am I going to put my attention and my focus? So the good, the bad, the ugly, and of course I've got to put forward something that's on the good side that my company's done. So we work with a local home heating company here in Halifax, and it's an oil-based home heating company, so it's very old school. It services more older homes. The newer homes are not bringing in oil heat, so the acquisition piece is quite tough for them. So with our marketing strategy, retention is a huge component of their effort now. So last month was National Popcorn Day. We saw that in mapping out our content calendar. Okay, what big events were happening, and we're like, oh, Popcorn Day. So we had some fun with this. So for 40 customers that were getting service calls to that day, National Popcorn Day, they got these packages from Scotia Fuels, and the service techs you can see on the right were loving it. They were excited to do this. So when they showed up to service their furnace, at the end of it saying thanks for your service, and they're known for their service, they said, here, by the way, it's National Popcorn Day, have some popcorn on us. And you'll see the language you put in there. You picked a great day to book your service. Thanks for being a great customer. So we got so much play off this, and it was more informal than, say, big shout outs on social media. It was responses to the service text to say, my gosh, thank you for doing this. They were, just the response they got from their customers really jazzed up the service text and the employees to say, wow, we are making a difference, and we do have loyal customers, and this was a great way to appreciate them. The bad, American Eagle, I love their jeans, and we've all experienced this situation before of we send a note saying, in this instance, I believe my package is lost. I can't connect to the chat with customer service. I can't get them. Can you help me find my package? See the response. It's great, first of all, that they did respond, and they responded just over half an hour. And they started off, nice tone, so hi, so-and-so, we're sorry that happened. We'll connect you with the customer service team member who will be in touch shortly to assist you with this. This is where they fall off the rails. In the meantime, please feel free to reach out to our customer service team directly at this number. And then please allow 24 to 48 hours to get a response. And we really appreciate your patience. It's like, no, I'm contacting you through this chat for an immediate response to help me find my package, instead of then shuffling me off to the place that I haven't been able to talk to anybody at. So it's just like, okay, put those flows and those funnels together to say, okay, what could happen and how do we react to it? And how do we solve that person's problem? Good old ugly. And I love picking on banks and telcos on how, and we've all seen this, you sign up for a new account and you get something. So, Rogers, you sign up for a new account and you get a $50 holiday gift. And they put in brackets for new customers only. RBC, they just recently did this, sign up for a new account and you get an iPad. They've been doing this for a number of years. Okay, what about me? I'm an RBC customer. I've been a customer for, I think, about 8 years. I went to my business manager and I said, I see this great promotion for new customers. Can I get an iPad? I've been with you for 8 years. And they're like, no, sorry, you got to sign up a new account. I'm like, are you serious? We've all got these examples. We've been customers of certain businesses. And how often do you get a call to say thank you? Or, hey, add on this feature, or try to upsell you or expand your service, and we'll give you this. Or we're just going to give you this to say you're a great customer. We appreciate the business. It's shocking how many businesses are all about acquisition and the offers to those people, and they forget about their customers. So I put this here. What I know you've all got stories, and I think it's probably best at the end of the session. I want to hear about some stories and some good, the bad, the ugly. But to kind of dig into the I guess the second part of the discussion is, I've got kind of 5 things to note going forward. So hopefully you pick out 1 or 2 of these things, and it really is, even if you just pick out, I've got to spend more time thanking my customers or focusing on my customers, that's a big takeaway. So how do we keep customers? How do we keep them happy? Number 1, and I'm probably, for some of those that have already sat in on sessions in the past with me, I will always talk about customer insights and talking to your customers to get their input. This goes for the acquisition efforts, product development efforts, all of that, as well as it does for customer retention. Ask for their input. And the key thing here is listen. Don't talk. Don't tell them what they need to tell you. Don't tell them, oh, well, you should think this or you should know this. No. Ask for their input. Listen to what they're saying. Absorb those insights, because they can improve how the people you hire, the product you're developing. It goes well beyond how you market and sell to them. It goes in so many different areas of your business, because they're already talking about you. They're already saying good things or bad things or whatever it might be. So if you get this chance, like, actually hear what they're saying, accept it, because some of the stuff is going to be, you're not going to be happy about it. They're going to be talking shit to you, and they're going to say you suck because of this. Okay, great, but let's learn from this. And we've done a number of efforts where we've done this. We've gone to the customers, be it through an online survey, calls, whatever it might be, and ask, hey, how are they doing? And sometimes they say they're great, no need to change. Other times they're like, they suck and this needs to change. So that's why there's a lot of tools out there, and this is not a hard thing to do. You could pick out 10 customers and just give them a call, ask them, hey, I've got a couple questions. Do you mind giving me some input? Want to improve the business? Want to help you in ways we can? And just ask them a couple questions and get their input. Online SurveyMonkey, it's great. It's a very easy tool to use, and we use it a lot for a variety of our customers. In this mechanics now, and how Zoom focus groups. I've now done a few of those where it's like just getting a bunch of customers on Zoom, having a good chat, breakout rooms, talking about different topics. There's a variety of ways to do this. Social media, surveys, things like that. There's a lot of ways to get that insight from your customers. Number 2 area, appreciate them. Back to kind of the National Popcorn Day, we thanked our customers. So doing handwritten notes, giving them popcorn on that special day to say thanks for the business, whatever it might be. Just you have to think a little differently, because we're all human beings, especially in this world we're living in right now. We all want to be appreciated, and we all want to be thanked and recognized. And so this is a great opportunity to, like Jimmy here, Jim wrote Xander a note, a handwritten note. How often do you get one of those saying, thanks for giving us a chance? Hopefully you enjoyed our interaction. Please, if there's any issues, let me know. I'm working with a company right now, and they source product from all over the world. We just got a note from a customer that wasn't angry, was just saying, I don't kind of appreciate the promotion you're doing. You're sourcing the product from a certain country that I don't support. I'm not being aggressive about this. I'm just saying I'm not going to enter this contest. And so we wrote a note back just saying, you know what, thank you for your input. We really appreciate it. We hear what you're saying. We thank you for it, and we'll take that into account as we go forward. We're not arguing. We weren't pushing back. We weren't defending our position. We were saying thank you for your input. This is a bit of a buzz term that some of you have heard in elevating that net level of appreciation. And it really is about doing more than they expect. We all expect good service. We're actually expecting more now because of certain channels of engagement. So how can you surprise and delight those customers? And it really is, just getting fun and getting creative on your thinking about what can I do a little bit more? What can I send? What can I offer them and just surprise them with? There's just these little things, and they can be very little, they can be big, but they really do need to kind of, elevate that level of expectation, or even go or surpass it in that sense. Never stop this. That's the biggest thing. Whatever you do in the sense of your customer retention, it is not like a campaign. It is an ongoing, continual effort, day after day after day. So the challenge is, how do you continually surprise and delight those customers? Do you set aside, Friday mornings to do handwritten notes to this group of customers, then the next week, this group of customers? We've got a client that was our recommendation. It's like, you have to set aside the time to do that. So never stop doing it. Sir Richard Branson always has some great quotes, and talk about another guy that's very focused, and a business that's very focused on customer appreciation, customer expectations. His quote is, the key is to set realistic customer expectations, which we all have, and then not just meet them, but exceed them, and do it in an unexpected and helpful way. And I think it's an awesome quote to recognize, okay, this is the level of expectations our customers have. How do we go above that and continually go above that? Action. So when we recognize all this now, okay, we got to put actions in place. What efforts are we going to put in place to facilitate this? And there was a great blog article there from Shopify talking about the weighting and efforts around when do you put things in place, be it acquisition or retention focused. So you'll see, early stages, some of you might be at this early stage, it's all about acquisition. Sure, you got to get customers, But as things progress, and as you get more sales on a regular basis, things will start shifting, right? You'll see here the established business here with 10 sales per day. Now it's 50-50, right? You're acquiring 50% of your efforts are acquisition, 50% of your efforts are retention. You have customers now. You've got to service them. You've got to make sure they're successful and they're supported and they feel appreciated, and they're coming back and renewing the business that they're doing with you. The next piece on this is really mapping out the journey they go through, because it kind of goes back to the first point around asking for their input. Ask what they went through, like in the sense of not just on the left-hand side is about prospects and the acquisition piece. Ask them about, okay, now that you're a customer, how are things going? Are we answering your calls? Has the product fulfilled your expectation? Are we delivering on what we said we would? How deep do you go? Who are you talking to? Can we appreciate the business you're passing along because you're telling our story to others out there? Really going deep and mapping out the journey they go through, because if you can do that, you can be much more effective in what you do at those different stages. Some of you that may have sat in on sessions have seen this slide as well. There's such a huge focus now with a lot of businesses on customer success. It's not service, it's not support, it's not the firefighting side. It is the proactive focus on the customer health and behavior. It's not, as I say, fighting fires, solving problems right away. It's moving it up a few notches. So a lot of companies, a lot of them in the software as a service side. Actually, I'm talking to a couple of different customers now in the home heating and textiles and all these other types of business. They need a success department. They need people that are solely focused on, once the customer is now in the business, in the brand, how do we make sure they're successful, and how do we proactively manage their health? How do we work with them on the full life cycle? How do we offer ongoing value? How do we just make sure they're adopting, and talking about the brand and the business going forward? And as you can see at the bottom, when companies set up customer support and service departments, it's a cost center. When you look at it from a customer success standpoint, it's a growth driver, because back to one of the earlier slides, if you focus on your customers, you're going to see a direct business results from that. So Doug Warner, I'd slag the banks. He's JP Morgan bank guy, but it's a very appropriate quote here and especially in the world we're in right now, is in the world of the internet customer service, it's important to remember that your competitor is only a mouse click away. So if you aren't making sure that they're successful, you're not adding that value, you're not, paying attention to their full life cycle and giving them just that extra happy feel, you're not surprising and delighting them, they will say, up you, I'm out of here, I'm gone. Because back to the earlier stat of 90% of customers showing up at a company have left another company because of bad service. Fifth point here, like any good marketing consultant, of course, I'm going to talk about tracking, KPIs, data, results, and making sure that you put in place those KPIs, because you don't know what you don't know. So is what you're doing working? So are customers renewing their business? Are you seeing that growth in sales, each basket, each purchase they might say, and is a basket growing every time? Putting in place those KPIs to really track, okay, let's see if what we're doing is working. And back to this point, some of the KPIs can also be, are we keeping the business we have? So I go back to the home heating client that we have, because they're not in a growth sector, keeping the 6,000 roughly customers happy and keeping them is a huge KPI for them, because for a number of years before, they were losing customers. Now they are managing and sustaining that level of customers, and they're keeping them happy, they're servicing them well, they're doing popcorn days. The other piece to this is with customer retention, there's definitely influences, right? How am I going to influence them and keep them a happy customer? We just talked about customer success. Customer success in the HubSpot article from this, huge component. So more reinforcement for putting in place a customer success department, because they have such an impact or indirect impact on the influence and the impact they have with the retention side. Product, yes, the product's got to work well. Marketing, you got to tell them the story, put it out there. Sales, you got to get them in the funnel. But customer success, it's such an important piece of customer retention. Also, it's interesting with this piece of tracking and recording, their happiness in a sense. Uber's awesome, and there's so many others out there now around that customer advocacy. So it's up to us to rate these drivers to say, yeah, they were awesome, or they sucked, and they in turn do that to us, right? But what was interesting, Uber's added this add to favorites, so it's just another little step to say, I love this driver, I'm going to add him or her to my list of favorites. So next time I want an Uber, I'm gonna choose so and so because they're awesome. So talk about another level of connection that they have to that brand and that deeper level of advocacy. It's amazing. And think about the employee piece of it, how satisfied and happy they are that, oh my gosh, I've got X number of people adding me to their favorites. I feel great. I'm doing a great job. Last area here is, and this is big for me because I always bring it back to brand. We do a lot of work in branding. And so even with customer retention, it does come back to brand, because the biggest piece is never bullshit your customers and deliver on that brand promise. If you're going through the process, you're mapping out this positioning and all this great stuff, and you're putting a promise in place, deliver on it. And great example here, who's gone to McDonald's thinking, wow, that Big Mac looks awesome. And then on the right, this is really what the Big Mac looks like. It's false advertising. They're not delivering on that promise of that puffy, nice looking bun and that, mouth-watering, beef. It's like, come on, guys, you are not delivering on the brand. You're bullshitting me here. This is not delivering on that brand promise. Talked about trust earlier. This takes things that deeper level, right? Like trust is earned. It doesn't just happen. And so if you're delivering on that brand promise, that trust will go up and up and up. When we do these branding workshops with clients, they often say, oh, one of my values or my attributes is we're trustworthy. You can't say that as a brand. You can't say that. Trust is earned. That is something that your customers will feed back to you and say, oh yeah, they're totally trustworthy. Show up on time. They do all that. So that comes from delivering on that brand promise. And brand, of course, goes in so many different ways, and it's such a web in that respect of the people you hire and the products you develop and all that. And I love Seth Godin. This is one of my favorite quotes: is people do not buy goods and services. They buy relations, stories, and magic. And that is, for me, like, that is all about the brand. Those relations, those personal connections, that customer success department that is truly valuing my relationship and ingrained in my success, the stories that are happening, the magic that happens from enjoying this product or service or whatever it might be. Brand is such a key component across so many areas of your business, and very much so with customer retention. And I think this is even more important these days for brands, for customer service, for customer retention, is empathy. Empathy, and back to the earlier point of appreciation, but more so the empathy piece, because we've all gone through a shitty last year. The last 12, 14 months have been horrible. We need empathy in our life. We need brands to appreciate us and empathize with the challenges that we're going through. And the physical toll that's taking us, the mental toll that's taking on us, and really recognizing that. So it's even more important with your current customers to continually check in with them, right? Are you doing okay? Are we not just servicing you properly, but are you okay? That just brings them into the fold and makes them even more advocates than they were before. And I always want to end this off here, because it's funny, it's quite interesting to see how happy employees equals happy customers, because the employees, of course, are the frontline representation of that brand. So if you've got high satisfaction of your employee, the productivity is positive, they're offering great service, of course, it's going to feed customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, and business results from that. So your people are so important, because they are the brand, and your people are the ones dealing with the problems and talking to those current customers. So just to wrap things up, and hopefully we have some questions, because I kind of wanted to finish off, with about 15, 20 minutes of time for chat and conversation. Ask for their input. Listen to what they're saying, acknowledge it, because a lot of brands say, oh, we do market research. They get this research study, they put it away, or they get it and then they're like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. So we actually work with a research company out of Ontario that's what we do. They do this great research, then we put in place, okay, this is what we heard, here are the recommendations to implement and improve things for your business. And that's the piece there, is acting on that. Appreciate them. We're all human beings. We all want thank yous, recognition for the decisions we've made, time we've spent. So that's a key component. Surprising people, surprise, delight, that component of it, and never stop doing it. Action your efforts. When is the right time to do what we need to do? Map it out. Understand what the process is for them, and put that success component. Don't stop thinking about service or support. Think about customer success. Tracking, of course, what are the KPIs? Let's put them in place. Let's record them. Let's adjust. Let's implement the changes and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we've learned from that, and we're going to do something different. And then lastly, always brand. The brand piece, I'm definitely a broken record on that front, but brand is so important, because you got to deliver on that promise. You got to be empathetic in your approach to those customers, and you got to focus on your people, because they are the ones that truly represent that brand, and put forward that experience and deliver on the promise most of the time. So that's it. Questions? Would love to get some conversation going here.
So Carrie sent in a question. She says, a challenge for me is that the user and the buyer are different. The user may be perfectly happy, but it's not their place to buy anymore. The buyer is generally annoyed that they had to spend money in the first place. How do I translate the satisfaction of the user to the buyer and get the buyer to appreciate the value so they may buy more for other users?
Yeah, it's an interesting. I know the dynamic that you work in, because there's say a procurement department, or the CFO, or the person that controls the money, that they're like, oh, shit, we got to invest in this stuff and shut these people up, and they're going to be quite happy with whatever they do. The challenge there is always, what are the pains and gains and the issues and those little things you can touch on that address each of those customers. Because yes, the user definitely will influence the buyer. They will say, yeah, I like it, I didn't, or here's what I want. So it's looking at things a little differently, and most likely the buyer is very functional. So the potential would be, okay, well, we're not talking about the squishy side with you. We're talking about, okay, if you buy 10, I'll give you 1 free, that kind of thing. Or making sure that they're the first ones to hear about a new product innovation, or a new product coming to market, or an improvement to the product they purchased, or to going back to them to say, look, you've had it for this long length of time, let's renew that. So they're looking at it very functionally. And so that's with kind of the broader aspect of marketing is, how do you understand their pain points? How do you go deep on understanding what their issues are versus the user's issues? Because I think, Carrie, I believe the ergonomic side, user, yeah, it's a physical benefit, and having a good workstation where the buyer is like, okay, I got to spend money on a new chair, workstation, all of that. But I think it's again, that buyer is, okay, your productivity is going to go up, there's going to be less sick days, these functional benefits for them, where the user, of course, you're talking to is, okay, your back's not going to be sore, you're going to be you're more happy, those types of more emotional, softer side. So it's really kind of trying to go granular on what the pain points are for each of those customers. Hopefully I'm giving you a bit of an answer on that one.
Awesome. So we also have another question that came in from Julaine. She said, I'm trying to form a strategy to encourage Ontario stores to reorder. This is a very sensitive topic considering the lockdown and economic climate. I'm leading with empathy and a gentle checking in tone. Any other suggestions? Our sales are dropping significantly there. We sell food products mostly to specialty stores.
Oh, yeah, to be honest, it's such an unsettling environment, especially with things like Molly and I were talking about this before we started the session around Ontario versus Nova Scotia versus PI, and just the dynamics that are happening. I still think from a buyer's perspective of food product, and especially food product, because even though Ontario is in lockdown, people still need to eat. And I think with that is, okay, not only can you say, look, we're here for you, we'll help you. It's what else can you bring to the table to kind of help their business? So it's potentially going a bit deeper into understanding their dynamic. So back to the comment earlier with Carrie's question about the pain point. So is it that they don't have a delivery mechanic that's a way of delivering this product to people at home because they can't come in? Is there a cross promotional program or a way to buy your product alongside a product that would be more cost efficient for them, that would help just package things better for that end user? I think it's possibly, having those questions and asking some different questions to the buyers to say, okay, how can I help you? Not just here's a great product I want to sell you. It's how much more can I help you with other contacts I have, or other business relationships I have, and how can I help you do more with your current customer? And then the add-on to that is how can we get new customers? So I know that might be a bit more of a general bit of feedback, and I'm happy to carry that conversation on a bit more offline, because if I understand a bit more of the detail, then I might be able to add a bit more detail from my perspective. So hopefully I've kind of answered your question.
So she added to that, we are considering sending everybody free samples to give out in store.
Yeah, the challenge with sampling, I would say, is the health concern, and that you just have to find out in the stores you're looking to sell to, how are they doing it? Because as you know, like with the liquor stores, they can't do sampling of product anymore. Sample handing out is because of safety is really being scaled back. It is definitely tough giving samples to actual buyers. That's an option. offering possibly an online service so people could ask for samples to be delivered to them in some sort of safety environment would be another way. Yeah, again, I'm happy to have a side conversation on that once I understand more the channels, the product, things like that. So I'd be happy to have a follow-up conversation on it.
So do we have any other questions?
My gosh, I got to have some questions, other questions, because those were great questions.
Oh wait, we have some Q&A, thank goodness. All right, so we have, oh, Desiree asked if you were able to meet with Sean through Sue's. Yes, you are, Desiree. So yes, that is something that you are able to do. And if you're interested in doing that, then contact Sarah and she will go ahead and put you in contact with him and get that arranged for you.
I'm also looking at Elizabeth's comments, and one of her big ones there, I very much agree that the customer focus, success, expectation, experience definitely starts from the top. If the founders, if the president, the owner doesn't have that mindset, it's definitely going to fall flat. And we've had a number of conversations with that level, and really, again, that home heating company I referenced, it took them some time. It's owned by a couple families. The first family we were dealing with just didn't buy into it. They're now not as hands-on as the other family that owns the business, and it took time for them to get it, and now they get it. And the other piece there is they see some examples. The popcorn day was a great example. They're like, wow, okay, it worked. Oh, but it's a very good point of yes, it definitely starts from the top, and it does have to have that implementation across all the people within the organization. And yeah, customer expectations definitely, and that goes back to the brand promise. Brands definitely overpromise because they feel they need to hit a customer expectation up here, and they realize that's just that's too high or too low or whatever it might be. So, and that comes back to understanding the customer. So prior to the customer retention piece, talking to your potential customers, say, okay, what do you expect? And can I deliver on this? And also recognizing, some customers aren't your customers because their expectations are too high. Their price expectation is down here and your price is up here. It's just not working. So it's okay to say there's just some customers that aren't your customers.
So Carrie sent in a message and says, on the topic of happy employees make happy customers, make sure your employees are physically comfortable. Just imagine an uncomfortable person trying to deliver happy customer service. That is very true.
Great point. And Carrie, talking to a procurement person, a buyer, a CFO, you can say if your employees are uncomfortable, their productivity will go down, and your expenses will go up. So your point is a very valid one, because and especially in this day and age where a lot of us are working from home, if we're not productive in our roles here, they're going to see a loss of revenue. They're going to see a loss of happy customers. So those are some of the more functional messages you can put in front of those people that are say, okay, how much is this going to cost? Well, something over here is going to cost a little less. Yeah, great point.
All right. Do we have any other questions, comments? Let's see. Looks like something came in. Yeah, if you want to read that out. I feel like
do you believe the customer is always right? It's definitely something to always keep in the back of your mind. But I almost feel I always see it more, the customer is always needs to be heard. So it's more to the point of, we've had horrible customer experience where we've sent a note in and then we never hear back. Or, there's just no action on it. So I would skew more to the fact that the biggest thing is it's listen, like recognize what they're saying and what the issue is. sometimes they're right, sometimes not so right, and you have to bite your tongue and give them something free to shut them up, and yes, handle things a certain way. And I hate to say it that way, but we all know situations, and we all know people that are going after companies just to get something from them, and so it is a challenge that way. But I think if you hear them, if you recognize what they've said, say thank you for your input, you're definitely going to have a better response than kind of always, saying, yes, you're right, I will do everything you're asking me to do, because there's definitely challenges that way, challenges in that respect. The other challenge to that comment is getting agreement on your approach, be it customers always right, we're going to do everything that they ask, or let's listen and act accordingly. That, back to your earlier point, Elizabeth, it has to be from the top down and across all the people, because I can remember back, again, that tire and automotive business I worked in, one of the stores, they had a customer that came in, had issues with this, and the frontline staff were pushing back, and I said, guys, it's not worth it. Give them this, it's going to cost us $300. They're going to be very happy. They'll hopefully think positive, talk positively about our resolution to this, and yes, we'll have to eat that $300, but it's better that than the explosion of communication and negativity that will happen through social media or whatever it might be. So if again, you're definitely supporting across the company that customers are always right, is making sure everybody buys into that and is able to manage it as far as it needs to go.
Guys, we have time for a couple more questions if anybody has anything to throw in.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for the response. It is a tough one, because I've worked in retail. We've all had those situations of customers, are they always right? And it is, it's. I think I might have been cutting somebody off there.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, as Molly mentioned, I am an in-house specialist, so if there's any need to do any kind of follow-up conversations, as you guys know, there's kind of the program that you can tap into for the specialists. I'm happy to kind of set up kind of those half-hour calls and move things along if need be, or if there's help needed. Because it's great that Startup Zone's got a variety of folks like myself that you guys can all tap into. So.
Yes, absolutely. So Desiree has a question. She wants to know, do you always recommend a full refund to unhappy clients?
I would ideally you keep them, still keep them a customer. So is there a way to offer them something that is a gift card, or here's a certain, we appreciate this, sorry this didn't work out, your purchase was $100, can we put this $100 to something else? Because wherever you can offer them value and appreciate they're unhappy, or you didn't meet their expectations, but keep them a customer, that would be my first look. But if it's just like, I don't want anything to do with you, then yes, full refund to say apologies, because again, the talk value, if they walk away and say, well, they refunded my money 100%, they'll still have a positive perspective of who you are and the brand promise. Well, you didn't deliver on it, but you delivered on solving that problem for me. There'll be a positive perspective on that front. So yeah, I would say that, if there's an unhappy customer, you first look to try to keep them in the business, but if not, then yeah, full refund.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Sean. And Desiree says thanks too. Yeah, so I mean, I think unless anybody sends in any other questions, I think that we're probably about ready to wrap up here. Thank you so much for this presentation, Sean. This has been really informative, and I think that everybody that has attended and that will get to watch this is going to agree that there's a lot of good information in here. Just as a reminder, everyone, this is recorded, so our plan is to put this on our YouTube channel as long as Sean is okay with that. And So again, if anybody is uncomfortable with that, please reach out and let us know, and we can see if we can work something out there. And my email is molly@startupzone.ca in case anybody needs to reach out to me. Otherwise, do you have anything you want to close with, Sean?
No, the contact information is there. As I said earlier, I'm kind of linked in with the Startup Zone, and I'm just going to actually go back to Elizabeth's last little comment to reinforce one of my points is, often that, if you do ever face a problem with current customers, it's that listening piece of, hey, let's truly understand what that problem is, because sometimes the problem you think is the problem isn't the problem. And until you actually ask that question and dive a little deeper, you really won't know. And it's just the fact that you've listened to them, which, as again, we're all human beings. We all want to be heard. We all want to be appreciated and recognized and thanked at times. So I hope, I appreciate the time you guys all took to sit through this, and hopefully you took some nuggets away to implement in your own businesses. And we'll talk to you possibly soon.
All right. Yeah. As a reminder, everyone, Sean is a resource here at the Startup Zone. So if you are interested, please reach out and we can connect you with Sean. So thank you so much, Sean. And thank you everyone for attending. Have a
Thank you
great
for
day.
having me.